Because people want to be what they are at the time that is convenient. Like,
Ooh,
I may be
ooh,
black and gay, but if I need to be black
mmm,
at the moment, I will be black. But if I need to be gay at the moment, I need to
mmm.
be gay. Or if I'm
Spitting
white and I want to be
facts,
white at the moment, I'll be white. If I want to be gay at the moment, I'll
facts.
be gay. So you can't, that's why they feel like that. Because they want to be able to choose whichever
Privilege.
one is going to get them what they want.
Right, yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Walk it off, fam. Appreciate you guys. As you can see, the dude's gone. It's hot out here in Cali. You know what I mean? So I had to deal away with it. You know, maybe in the summertime, I'll go back. But for now, buzz cut. Anyways, you see the title of the video. It's another It's Complicated reaction. Mr. IC. Again, doing amazing work out in Las Vegas. We'll go ahead and shout him out, leave a link in the description to his channel. But without further ado, you know what the program is. Let's get right into it.
Who do you perceive to be more feminine, straight women or gay men?
Oh, depends on the situation, but my mind goes gay men immediately.
Why is that?
I think Hollywood has shown us that. Hollywood has portrayed the gay man as flamboyant, gay best friend, shopaholic. So in my mind,
Yeah.
I think coffee, I think Starbucks, I think cheeseburger, I think McDonald's, I think gay man, I think Hollywood best friend, girlier than me.
Gay men definitely, they take the cake.
Interesting.
Because they're trying too hard.
What do you guys think about that question? Leave your answers in the comments.
They're trying to be feminine, and women are already feminine. So they're it's an act.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not,
I might offend somebody.
it's an act because they have to act like a woman.
Who do you perceive to be more masculine, straight men or butch lesbians?
Straight men.
Why is that?
Again, it's kind of perception. It's what Hollywood has told us, what society has told us, but I think straight man and I think caveman type, adjusting his whatnots in public. Butch lesbian is like the android version of a straight man.
What does it mean to be masculine or feminine?
I think that's changing. Perception is changing. I think any gender can be feminine or masculine. I don't.
What do you guys think? I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one because you're kind of saying like men can be on the extremes or often both, right? Or better at both, which is interesting. I have a thought, but I'll leave it for later.
Don't think there's terms on it necessarily, parameters.
Between masculine and feminine energy.
Oh, that's a good question.
What?
That's a
That's a
you
me
question. Yes.
All right. Feminine energy is more like accepting. I would say like more engulfing, and like masculine energy is more like take charge. I would say.
I would say feminine energy reminds me of like
I guess. I don't.
I think of the color pink. I don't know why. Okay.
Let's see, masculine, I think for me would be someone who looks like they have a big build, or either they're actually acting like a man and actually taking care of themselves like a man and their family like a man. Now, feminine could be both, and it doesn't mean that, actually it could go both ways, because now I was just telling someone, like, I don't want to be a man. I don't want to be tough, but I have to be because I don't have a
that's
guy.
masculine.
Why can feminine be both but masculine can't?
Because men will probably, even if they're not gay,
I feel like if this continues, I'm gonna go off on a rant.
sometimes they will,
I don't want
see
to.
stuff from a woman's point of view if they are in tune with themselves. And a lot of men who protect women understand femininity.
When two lesbians go out on a date, who pays?
The one who asked the other one on a date.
When two lesbians go out on a date, who pays?
Both of them, or the one who argues less.
When two lesbians go out on a date, they often hold the door open
Fair.
for each other and split the bill. Why is it as soon as a man is involved, he suddenly has to do all the work?
I think that just goes back to like being a man, you know, like
You're held to a different
considered
standard.
the providers, and
This might offend some people, but you're held to a higher burden of performance as a man. You know, there's to say a higher standard.
as a man, you're expected to take care of a woman.
Yeah. You can't
I
escape your
think
gender
that's
roles
just
as a man.
society norms.
Oh,
I
God.
mean, he opens the door for me, and I let it, and I like it like that. I just think it's the role you want to
Pause.
take. In some gay relationships, somebody's always dominant. Whoever wants to be more dominant or wants to feel that, I think, and that still goes back to like men and women.
Why is there more flexibility with gender roles in a same-sex relationship than there is in a heterosexual relationship?
Well, in the sense of that, I think it's more flexibility because, in a same-sex relationship, you do have like more than likely like, you know, the other person is really understanding what the other person wants. So in a situation like that or a relationship like that, you understand what the other person's want or what
'Cause
they're
you're
looking
both
for. So you do
have a similar
understand just a
temperament,
little bit
I would imagine.
more. Instead of that,
I can see that, and to a point, I agree because you don't have that same type of polarity, right? You would otherwise have between different temperaments, and genders. So, I can see that.
do you have anything to say?
I think it's more flexible because that's just being gay. You can be whatever the fuck you want to be.
When a woman says she's tired of dating men, why do they often end up dating a woman who looks and acts like a man?
Maybe they still want the masculine energy, but they want to try different genitalia.
Why wouldn't a woman just prefer to date a feminine man than a masculine woman?
Because if they
That's a good question. Like, if you call, like, you know, you see on social media all the time, right? Men ain't this, or toxic masculinity, or yada yada yada. They belittle men. They don't want to date men, right? But why would you go and date a woman that looks like a man who has the same traits or is trying to emulate a man as opposed to a more feminine guy, right? Because by definition, that toxic masculinity is what you're leaving, but you're chasing it with a woman. So why not just date a more feminine guy?
still
Good
want
question.
that masculine energy, a feminine man may not have a lot of masculine energy, may not have more masculine energy than a masculine
It
woman.
also goes to the point that what women find attractive versus what they're aroused by is completely different, and often is not the same. So a lot of times you'll have women tell you what they would like in a man, or the things that sound nice, right? But they're never things that they're aroused by. So it's often like contradictory.
Woman, if that's what they're desiring.
Because with women, you get more of an emotional concept. Women are gorgeous. I mean, have you seen women? We have all of the parts that men
I
lack.
agree.
And even though I may dress and act like a man, I may be the one to open the doors and pay for dinner, I'm still a woman deep down. I still have the emotional depth. We could sit all night for 8 hours completely naked and talk about our feelings, and nobody's sexualizing the other person. We're just being sensual with each other. You lack that with a man.
Don't a lot of men have the parts that women lack?
Yes, but I can attach my parts and choose their size.
If women are always right, how do lesbians settle arguments?
The more masculine one has to take the L always.
Can you say it again? I couldn't hear that.
The more masculine one has to take the L always.
What does that mean?
That they have to like just like please like
Concede?
the more feminine to just like get along like yeah, like okay babe, like you're right, you know? The more masculine one has to take the L always.
Can you say it again? I couldn't hear that.
The more masculine one has to take the L always.
What does that mean?
That they have to like just
Concede?
like please like the more feminine to just like get along like yeah, like okay babe, like you're right, you know?
De-escalate the situation, I guess.
Why would anyone want to be the more masculine one when the more feminine one just gets to show up and be spoiled?
I honestly have no control over that because like you know, like
If a woman is bisexual, does she hold her girlfriend to the same standards she holds a man to?
She should.
Why
They
would
don't.
any woman want to be the more dominant one when the submissive one gets to show up and be spoiled?
Because dominance has its own things. People
Yeah.
like dominance like to be dominant because they get something from it, just like a submissive person does.
What do you get?
From being dominant, I get spoiled just as much. I get to see the joy on my person's face when I do things like open doors and buy dinner and help out around the house. It surprises them, and I love it. I love serving my person. Dominance, really, you think submission is serving, but dominance is serving.
If
I
women
would
are
agree.
always right,
I
how
would
do
agree.
lesbians settle arguments?
Rock, paper, scissors, and I mean that in the most literal way.
Do you believe in the concept of gaydar?
Yes.
What are the characteristics of a closeted gay person?
Ooh, for the boys' side, if he listens to Cher and Madonna, 100%. I don't care if he wears pink, that's not a tell. But if he listens to Cher, if he's gonna watch Mamma Mia with you, he's gay.
What about for women?
If they're checking me out.
There really isn't any way to tell someone's gay without them being like behaviorally different. Like I can tell that like someone is gay by like the way that
What do you guys think? Do you guys believe in gaydar? Do you?
they walk, you know? Or like if they're wearing something like I'm wearing, like I'm bisexual and like I want people to know that. So like I'm not gonna
This just came to my mind because he said he's bisexual. And I was watching this conversation not long ago. I'll try to keep it short. Basically saying like, if you're a man, you can't be bisexual. Because if you like the same sex, like how is it you can go to the opposite sex? Is that ignorant to say? I was hearing this conversation, but it was an interesting talking point that they brought up. That if you're a guy, you're going to another guy, and then you come back to a woman. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? I felt kind of indifferent by it, but I don't know if that convinces me.
wear like a typical like straight male like alpha male outfit, you know, like I'm gonna like present
Alpha
to the world that
male
like, hey, like I'm bisexual, you know? So like
Alpha
yeah,
male.
so like
What's an
it's
alpha
in
male?
like the behavior, like the mannerisms of speech, clothing wear.
Why are gay people more aware of how their clothes and behavior present to the world than the straight women who complain that revealing clothing shouldn't get them unwanted attention?
Huh. That's a confusing question.
Do you want me to explain it, or do you don't understand it?
I guess I understand.
What I'm saying is like, okay, if you're a lot of gay men will dress a certain way because they want to let people
Flamboyant.
know that they're gay
Right.
or bisexual.
Yeah.
They wear
Show
like
off
kind of
their-
feminine looking
yeah.
clothes, right?
Definitely,
A
yeah.
lot of butch lesbians will like smoke cigars and like get a certain haircut that presents them as more masculine, so people know that they're more of a okay?
Yeah.
So your image matters.
Yeah.
Okay, your image matters.
Definitely.
So once again, why are gay people more aware of how their clothes and behavior present to the world than the straight women who complain that revealing clothing shouldn't get them unwanted attention?
Well, because if you're gay, and let's say like you're a guy,
Let's see if I can unpack the question. I think what he's trying to say is, if you're a guy who identifies as gay, you're willing to kind of put yourself out there for attention, right? And you dress very quote unquote feminine, revealing, right? Because you want that validation, because that's a very feminine trait. But I think what he's trying to say is women wear the same stuff, but then say, I don't want the attention. I mean, in reality, we all know they do. But I think that's what the question is. I
and you
could
want
be
to be
wrong.
perceived as a woman, then naturally you have to dress more feminine. You know what I mean? And then for
Feminine guy.
women who are always dressed a certain way, or that's their typical way of dressing, they're, you know, they feel like they shouldn't have to be bothered because that's how they should be dressed. You know what I mean?
Doesn't your
Yeah.
image define who you are?
To an extent.
Doesn't your image define who you are?
To an extent. To an extent. Like, to an extent. So, like, if I'm, like, sagging my pants and I have, like, a flag on my back pocket, like, you're gonna know, like, okay, that dude's a gangbanger, but...
Yeah, because, I mean, whether people like it or not, the reality is that we get judged solely based on looks all the time. It's a biological defense mechanism that species have, right? You have to be able to judge solely based on looks, because you're not gonna get to sit down and talk to everybody and get to know everybody. So you have to make certain amount of assumptions when you look at somebody. So yeah.
You know, if I don't wear a belt that day, my pants are sagging, then maybe my pants are just low today. You know what I mean?
A few years ago, everybody agreed on simple principles, like gender, for example. All of a sudden, these ideas became complicated, controversial, and sometimes downright confrontational. What do you think happened?
I
Feminism.
think that it was like people
said
not
that?
being upset that other people don't feel the same way that they do.
That might fall into the entitlement category. I don't know. I think that might be entitlement of, you know, I want to be special. I mean, gay rights has made huge leaps and bounds, and you know, if you want to do whatever you want to do with your sexuality in your life, and that's fine. And if you want to be treated equal as everyone else, that's cool too. But I don't, you know, necessarily agree with having to put all these labels on all this craziness. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily go into that tangent either, but it's like I always found it like so hypocritical because they're on one end they're telling you that the labels you're giving them, right? That you're not supposed to label them. You can't generalize because of their feelings, and everyone's the same. Yada yada yada. And then on the same token, they'll tell you need to call me this and label me this because I identify as this, and they'll fight you tooth and nail with it. And also label you and classify you and call you all kinds of things under the sun if you don't label them as something. And all because of people's emotional like state of mind. And I don't think people understand the difference between feelings and emotions. In a psychological sense, emotions are something that we as human beings will express and feel for like a couple seconds initially after something happens to us, right? Like fear or happiness or stuff like that. Feelings are what you actively choose to, again, feel, for lack of a better term. You know, you're actively choosing that emotion. So it's no longer, I guess you could say, natural. Now you're actively choosing to continue to feel that emotion, which is then becomes a choice. But it goes, like I said, it just goes back to everybody wanting you to respect their feelings, and their feelings come first, and feel good this and yada yada yada. And it's like, dude, like the world doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. You're not special. I'm not special. Nobody's special. Like, and to try to drive a certain agenda to acquiesce to a small population of the whole and have everybody kind of mold themselves to make the small population happy, to me, it just doesn't seem right.
You know, you're either a male or female. Like, I'm not a doctor, but it's pretty easy to tell.
Me neither.
Do you think it's okay to label people?
No, not at all.
If it's wrong to label people, why do some people get offended if you don't refer to them with the right pronouns? It's
Exactly.
labeling people.
Yeah, like that's exactly what I said.
Well, I guess you label and you refer to people the way they would like to be labeled and referred to. You don't give them labels yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, they're labeling themselves. Like, if they
Yeah,
get
but-
upset that we're not saying the right things, they can just let us know. And, like, then we'll tell them the right things. But, like, if we don't know what they are, then we're just going to assume what we see, you know?
I kind of got to ask you this question because
Go
I think
for
it's
it.
funny. In the
Jesus.
acronym LGBTQ, how did they decide which letter came first?
I think that maybe is women's entitlement for the lesbian women's act. I don't know.
So could it
That
be
sounds cool. T sounds.
How did they decide which letter came first?
I think that maybe is women's entitlement for the lesbian women's act. I don't know.
So could it
That
be?
sounds cool. So I don't know if QLBT sounds very cool.
So could it be because ladies first?
Very, very well could be.
But
Ladies
are
are
they?
always first, though. You know.
They don't
That's
identify
never
as
going to
such,
change if you're a gentleman.
right?
Could it be because ladies first?
Yes.
Could it have been settled in an arm wrestling tournament?
Probably rock, paper, scissors.
Why didn't lesbians claim the G for themselves?
because we didn't think of it.
Aren't all lesbians gay, but not all gays are lesbian?
Damn, bro. You're not wrong. A hetero man has this logic. You're not wrong.
Aren't all lesbians gay, but not all gays are lesbian?
Yeah, but lesbian is like specifically for women, and gay is like for men and women, but like lesbian is for the women.
You know what's funny is like, as time progresses, I can see there being even like confrontations, like large confrontations, like the same type that we have now, amongst even LGBTQ plus and everything else, because they're gonna start kind of nitpicking at each other and fighting for, again, like this continuous idea of equality. It's ridiculous, but that's funny. That's funny. That's a good question.
Why not just combine the G and the L into an H for homosexual, or just get rid of the L?
Right.
Different strokes for different folks, man. I don't know.
Why not just combine the G and the L into an H for homosexual?
You know what? That would be inclusive. I think we can look at that. Maybe it's in the gay constitution. We can make some amendments.
Or maybe just get rid of the L.
Hang on now. Hang on. Let us not be forgotten on the day after Pride Month.
Why do women seem to bond better with gay men?
Because I think women relate to gay men more because gay men are typically feminine. So I feel like
More than
they like
other
relate to
women?
each other. They have common interests.
If gay men
What?
love men and aren't controlled
Trust me.
by pussy power, why are they more likely to support women's issues than men's issues?
Because
They
every
identify
woman has a gay best friend for the most part, or somebody in their life.
as feminine.
Why are
Never
women
mind.
so welcoming of the gay community, yet so quick to shame a man as gay when they don't get what they want?
That's a good question.
Wow!
That's a good
It's
question.
true.
Great question.
It's true.
I don't know.
It's true. It's 100% true, because women will shame other men for that. Like, what do you, like, personal story, got hit on, and you know, you said no, you're not my type, or whatever the case, so I'm not interested. They're like, oh, what are you, gay? It's like, wait, hold on, aren't you like the biggest supporter of like equality and going against it?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
What do you
I have
think?
an answer for that.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Why are women so welcoming of the gay community, yet so quick to shame a
This
man
guy's
as
having
gay
fun. Look
when
at
they
him.
don't get what they want?
He's having a blast.
Who does that?
Well, a lot of women will attack a man's masculinity when they don't get what they want.
Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. Okay, so
Yeah, homeboy in the back, look at him.
if they're their friends, they're probably not going to want to hurt their feelings. But if it's
Definitely
someone
so.
that you're dealing with, you want to tell them the truth. And you want to make sure that they understand what you want.
A few years ago, everybody agreed on simple principles, like gender, for example. All of a sudden, these issues became complicated, controversial, and sometimes downright confrontational. What do you think happened?
The world is becoming more, like I said, it's like more people are
Gynocentric.
being indulgent, and people, the laws are changing for one. You have a lot of people that are out of the closet, and it's a lot of media. There's a lot
I
of
think it's just
television
cool now.
that
It's
shows
trending.
and promotes it. I mean, be gay if you want to be gay, but we don't have to see it on every show, and pretty much
It's just trendy.
it's everywhere.
Honestly,
it's just being
that's my opinion.
thrown into people's faces, even the kids. I was at a book
Yeah,
reading, and
that's
they
what-
had a drag
I don't
queen
agree with
there,
it.
and
Nope.
that's just not cool.
So you feel like it's an agenda that's being pushed?
Yeah, you're driving
Absolutely.
it down people's throat. Absolutely. Like, here's the one of piece of sorry, words are escaping me. Of hypocrisy. Is it started with, you know, a lot of people in this community arguing, oh, you can't drive your religious views down my throat, and yada yada yada, and toxic masculinity, like you're just driving it down people's throats, and I don't want to acquiesce to this, and you can't mold me into put me in a box, and what the rest of I'm non-binary, whatever. And then that's what you're seeing now, is that same community just driving it down your throat consecutively. Like, I don't know if these people don't see the hypocrisy. Like, it's infuriating.
If a person can identify as whatever they want, why does your identity even matter in the first place?
It doesn't.
So then why do so many people talk about how important their identity is?
Thank you.
I don't know, and they shouldn't. They just shouldn't. I just feel like we're
sorry, but from now on, I identify as tall, handsome, intelligent, good looking, and rich. So my new, pronouns are handsome and masculine. Thank you.
They are just all one alive being, and it's like,
You ever heard of identity politics?
no.
Identity politics means I deserve special treatment because I'm a woman, or because I'm gay, or because I'm black, or this or that.
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
It shouldn't matter.
But it certainly does.
It certainly does.
That's exactly what our politics are today.
Because people want to be what they are at the time that is convenient. Like,
Ooh,
I may be
ooh.
black and gay, but if I need to be black at the moment, I will be black. But if I need to be gay at the moment, I need to be gay. Or if I'm
Spin
white and I want to
facts.
be white at the moment, I'll be white. If I want to be gay at the moment, I'll be gay. So you can't, that's why they feel like that. Because they want to be able to choose
Privilege.
whichever one is going to get them what they
Right,
want.
yeah.
Right, but isn't
Choosing
that
privilege.
just manipulative and disingenuous?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So how do you trust and respect those people?
You can't.
You have to actually know who you're talking to. If they're doing it like that, then you don't trust them because they're wishy-washy and they can sway.
I like what you said there at the end. It's true. People like, I know a lot of people don't necessarily like study like anthropology or psychology for that matter. But if you did, you would understand that most human beings, right, by nature are selfish, and will often look out for themselves. You can be good, a good person, whatever. For the most part, most people will do things that are going to benefit them, or, that are going to get them to where they want to be. They'll take those steps as necessary steps. And whatever like community you identify with or you're part of necessarily, right, doesn't take that away from you. Like at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we're all going to try to do the same stuff. So you have to, again, then acknowledge that. But honestly, again, great questions by Mr. IC out in Las Vegas. Amazing. I love his content. Check him out. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, any comments, anything you disagree with, any questions for me, videos you want me to react to perhaps to check out, by all means, leave it in the comment section, right? Share the video, like it, subscribe. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.